Mayday. Mayday. Somebody help.
No alarm, no SOS. One moment you're above Europe, the next you're caught in a battlefield at 600 miles per hour. 12:31 p.m. local time, flight MH17 lifts off smoothly from Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands. The skies are clear, the flight path well-traveled. Nothing unusual, nothing out of place. The plane ascends effortlessly, soon reaching its cruising altitude of 33,000 feet. Passengers recline their seats, settle in with books or movies, and relax, trusting fully in the experienced crew and the sophisticated technology guiding them to their destination. The route is familiar, crossing the vast European landscape before transitioning into airspace over Ukraine, an area embroiled in geopolitical tension where Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists are locked in a fierce and deadly conflict on the ground. Yet commercial flights regularly pass safely over this region, far above any turmoil below. As you sit back in your seat, perhaps enjoying a snack or simply gazing outside, you have no idea that your flight has entered a zone of hidden danger. The skies beneath your feet far below echo with conflict and weapons designed to destroy military aircraft wait silently, hidden from sight. The routine of your flight masks the threat simmering just beneath, a shadowy contrast you are utterly unaware of. On the ground, near the small Ukrainian village of Snizhne, something shifts silently into position. A Buk surface-to-air missile launcher. Powerful, precise, and deadly. A military-grade weapon designed to take down high-speed combat jets, now tracking targets in skies populated by civilian airplanes. A grave mistake, a moment of tragic misunderstanding, or perhaps something darker still. Motives remain uncertain at this point. Fingers hover over controls, systems lock onto targets, and radar screens blink, identifying something they wrongly interpret as a military threat. Above, in the serene isolation of cruising altitude, you sense nothing unusual. The sky is clear, the journey continues without disruption. This peaceful illusion, however, is soon to shatter irrevocably as the invisible forces of conflict prepare to collide violently with the innocent passengers of MH17. In mere minutes, the story of your routine flight, safe, comfortable, predictable, will transform into one of tragedy and loss, sending shockwaves around the world. The first signs of trouble begin quietly, subtle and easy to miss. A faint static crackling in the radio frequencies, minor glitches on air traffic radar screens hundreds of miles away. Controllers in Ukrainian and Russian airspaces momentarily lose and regain the plane's transponder signal. These small, brief anomalies seem insignificant at first. Air traffic control, accustomed to momentary disturbances, initially pays little attention. But on the ground, something entirely different is unfolding. In eastern Ukraine, in a region engulfed by warfare, military personnel operating a Buk missile launcher near Snizhne power up their targeting radar. On their screen, a solitary blip appears, a distant aircraft traveling high and fast, easily mistaken for an enemy military plane. Other planes crossing this airspace are communicating with Ukrainian air traffic controllers. One nearby commercial flight, Singapore Airlines Flight 351, receives instructions to adjust altitude slightly, a routine maneuver to maintain safe separation. MH17 continues steadily, following its assigned flight path, oblivious to any potential issue. Meanwhile, radar operators near Snizhne make a critical error. Perhaps confusion over identifying the plane or the chaos of combat clouds their judgment. Whatever the reason, they mark Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 as hostile. an enemy military transport or fighter jet intruding into contested airspace. With a chilling certainty, the deadly Buk missile launcher locks onto the civilian aircraft. The flight attendants prepare to pass through the cabin one last time before reaching their destination. Children play quietly, parents chat softly. In the cockpit, routine checklists are calmly reviewed. Pilots casually discuss the remainder of their flight path, unaware they're moments from disaster. At precisely 13:19:56 UTC, Captain Eugene Chu Jin Leong communicates with air traffic control in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, confirming their altitude of 33,000 feet. The air traffic controller responds briefly.
Malaysia 17, maintain flight level 330.
Captain Leong confirms, repeating clearly,
Maintain flight level 330, Malaysia 17.
No hint of distress or concern marks their voices, only routine professionalism and confidence. The exchange is brief and ordinary, just another procedural communication. However, around this time, air traffic controllers elsewhere start noticing anomalies. MH17's radar blip flickers slightly. Ground stations intermittently lose the plane's transponder signal. A minor glitch perhaps, but concerning enough that controllers attempt repeated contact to reconfirm their position. Inside the cockpit, though, the instruments provide no warning, no indication that anything unusual is occurring. The pilots receive no alerts or unusual signals on their displays. For them, this remains a normal, calm cruising flight at altitude. Even as ATC continues attempts to contact them, the crew is unaware that communication disruptions are causing increasing unease on the ground. Suddenly, the plane vanishes from the radar screens completely. Controllers at Dnipropetrovsk, perplexed and now growing anxious, radio again urgently.
Malaysia 17, do you read me? Malaysia 17, this is Dnipropetrovsk radar, do you copy?
Silence greets their repeated attempts. No reply comes. Inside the cabin, passengers begin noticing a subtle, unsettling shift. Yet there's no jolt, no clear sound, nothing obvious at first. Only confusion and a slowly dawning unease. In the cockpit, the pilots suddenly realize something is terribly wrong. Instruments freeze, gauges suddenly show alarming errors, and communication with the ground abruptly cuts off. Captain Leong urgently speaks into the radio, trying to reconnect.
Dnipropetrovsk. This is Malaysia 17, radio check.
His voice remains steady but edged with tension, the first outward sign that something is deeply amiss. Passengers now begin to sense a palpable anxiety permeating through the cabin. Whispers grow louder, becoming voices tinged with confusion and concern. A few passengers glance toward the flight attendants for reassurance, their eyes silently asking, "Is this normal?" The pilots try again, more urgently.
Malaysia 17, requesting immediate radio check. Are you reading?
Still no reply from air traffic control, only silence. The cockpit atmosphere turns suddenly tense. Pilots scanning instruments frantically, looking for answers that simply aren't there. Back at Dnipropetrovsk control, confusion deepens into alarm. Controllers scramble, reaching out to nearby aircraft for visual confirmation, desperate to understand what's unfolding.
Singapore Airlines 351, do you have Malaysia Airlines 17 in sight?
The other aircraft's pilot replies calmly.
Negative. Malaysia 17 not in visual range.
Fear deepens aboard MH17 as a strange, muffled bang echoes faintly through the cabin. Passengers gasp softly, exchanging worried looks, gripping their armrests instinctively. Flight attendants quickly compose themselves, attempting calm reassurances despite their own escalating worry. Inside the cockpit, Captain Leong realizes they're losing control. He tries desperately one final time.
Malaysia 17, emergency requesting assistance.
The words are crisp and clear, carrying an unmistakable urgency. But the sky outside suddenly changes. A bright flash, then darkness. Time itself seems to stop as reality crashes in on everyone aboard. They realize far too late that their flight has just crossed from calm certainty into chaotic horror. In a single heartbeat, everything aboard Flight MH17 transforms from calm routine into unimaginable chaos. The missile, launched silently and invisibly from the Book system below, streaks upward at more than 3 times the speed of sound, cutting effortlessly through the clouds. Passengers barely have time to register the flash outside their windows before impact. A massive explosion erupts just above and to the left of the cockpit, hurling thousands of razor-sharp metal fragments through the thin aluminum skin of the aircraft. The shrapnel instantly pierces the cockpit, incapacitating the pilots and destroying critical flight instruments. For those aboard, it's as if the plane itself suddenly convulses violently, shuddering and tilting sharply to one side. Oxygen masks tumble from overhead compartments amid flashing emergency lights. Passengers scream, clutching armrests or each other, confusion and fear overwhelming any sense of logic. Cabin pressure evaporates instantly, replaced by the deafening roar of rushing air. Loose items fly through the cabin. Magazines, cups, personal belongings, swirling chaotically as the damaged aircraft begins breaking apart. In those critical seconds, Flight MH17 transforms into an uncontrollable projectile hurtling downward through the frigid air at terrifying speed. Pieces of the Boeing 777 break away, scattering through the sky like leaves torn violently from branches during a fierce storm. The fuselage splits apart, seats and passengers still strapped in are suddenly exposed to the open sky, their terrified cries swallowed by rushing winds. Not a single soul aboard MH17 survives. The missile's ruthless precision leaves no room for miracles, only grief. The emotional shockwaves travel far beyond the families directly affected, rippling across continents, touching millions. Calls for justice and accountability become a global rallying cry, demanding answers to a tragedy steeped in confusion, controversy, and blame. An international investigation begins immediately.
Evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by a surface-to-air missile that was launched from an area that is controlled by Russian-backed separatists inside of Ukraine.
Uniting experts from multiple countries determined to uncover the truth. Amid swirling accusations, satellite imagery, radar data, and eyewitness accounts paint a clear and devastating picture. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was brought down by a Russian-made Book missile system fired from territory controlled by pro-Russian separatists. Yet, despite overwhelming evidence, denials persist. Russia claims innocence, separatists evade responsibility, and international diplomacy fractures further, complicating an already delicate geopolitical crisis. Months of meticulous analysis revealed that the crew aboard MH17 had no warning, no chance to react or evade the deadly projectile. The disaster highlights a frightening vulnerability: the assumption of safety for commercial aircraft traveling above war zones. Airlines across the globe rapidly reconsider routes, redirecting flights away from conflict regions, newly aware of the terrifying potential of ground-to-air threats. The investigation also prompts important questions. Could this disaster have been prevented? Should commercial airlines have been alerted to potential dangers sooner? And perhaps most hauntingly, who truly bears responsibility for this immense loss of innocent lives? For relatives and loved ones left behind, answers provide little solace. They struggled daily with lingering memories, the empty seats at family gatherings, photographs of smiling faces forever frozen in happier times. Memorial services worldwide honor those lost, reminding humanity of the devastating consequences when political turmoil spills into innocent lives. Years later, many families still wait for full accountability. Trials are held, charges filed against individuals directly linked to the missile launch. Yet justice remains elusive and incomplete, clouded by political disputes and international tensions. The world moves forward, yet the tragedy of MH17 remains forever etched in collective memory, an indelible reminder of the human cost when war and misunderstanding collide tragically with ordinary life. This devastating event forces aviation authorities worldwide to confront harsh realities, implementing stricter oversight and clearer warnings about flight paths over contested areas. Airlines become increasingly cautious, prioritizing passenger safety above all else, knowing all too clearly the terrible price of complacency. In quiet moments, we reflect on the lives aboard MH17, 298 people traveling together toward dreams, hopes, reunions, and adventures whose journeys were violently cut short. We remember the lesson born painfully from this tragedy. Peace in the skies can never be taken for granted, and safety demands constant vigilance.
Somebody help.
And while MH17's fate was sealed by conflict on the ground, another flight faced a very different enemy, nature itself. Click here to watch the full story of the U.S. Airways Flight 1549. See you there.